This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
CBD is a game changer sweeping the nation. This hemp extract is the natural way to elevate your mood, eliminate aches and pains, reduce anxiety, and keep you sleeping all night long. It can even cut your workout recovery time in half. Get in the game today with 20% off all orders of CBD and lavender products from Lavender Lane, a lavender farm located right here in Milan, Michigan. Just go to lavenderlanemi.com today and enter coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order. Guys, look, these amazing products are infused with calming lavender to maximize their effectiveness, meaning your CBD items only take minutes to take effect, which is way quicker than those pills you were about to swallow. On top of it, they are perfect for men and women. Lavender Lane has lab-tested CBD creams, tinctures, and roll-ons that are perfect for any situation, even if you're on the go. Put your health back in your hands by heading over to lavenderlanemi.com and entering coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order of CBD and lavender products. What do you have to lose? Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you need lavender gifts for your loved ones or just looking for the natural way to ease your discomfort with CBD, go to lavenderlanemi.com and use coupon code Detroit to unlock these miraculous benefits of CBD and lavender. That's lavenderlanemi.com. And remember, use coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your CBD and lavender products from Michigan's own Lavender Lane.
Welcome in, everybody, to the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Adam the Jock Strozinski. On this week's episode 104, we're going to review and preview Smackdown. We're going to take a look at Raw. We're going to discuss what happened and who has the best roster after the draft, as well as take a look at AEW. And, of course, we've got some news and notes. Apparently, Mike Kanellis wants out, and we are going to discuss Eric Bischoff getting fired? All that and more. So you're going to want to stick tuned and hang around for the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. Doing it with me, as always, he's the one. He's the only. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz?
Cuz, I don't know if you heard, massive breaking news. The Doc was drafted to SmackDown, Raw, Dynamite, NXT, Power, Ring of Honor. They want me everywhere. And I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to be wrestling 6 days a week. It's a great time to watch wrestling, but I do believe that WWE dropped the ball in an epic fashion, going from week 1, where they had almost 4 million viewers, to week 2 in their execution of their draft. They really dropped the ball. It seemed like they just thought that they could just throw anything out there in terms of the draft, but it was confusing to fans. Everyone came away feeling like this is hokey, this is corny, and they executed a draft where there were, wrestlers from SmackDown drafted to SmackDown, and there were wrestlers from Raw already on Raw, and it just, the way in which the draft shook out and the manner in which the fans of WWE have responded to the whole Seth Rollins Fiend situation, I could see why there was such a massive drop-off. I wasn't happy with SmackDown other than maybe one aspect of it, and that was Bayley. That was done beautifully. I thought that part of the show was executed flawlessly. But at the end of the day, I thought SmackDown, for being on Fox week 2, I thought it would deliver a lot more than what it did.
Let me put it to you like this. I watched SmackDown. I had a very long week at work. And that's still no excuse, because on Mondays, I stay up till almost 11 watching Raw. I passed out before the second hour of SmackDown. It put me to sleep. They totally dropped the ball. It was brutal, man. It wasn't a good show. honestly, the draft, the way it was held was kind of hokey. The way the show was put together was hokey. You're right. The best thing was Bayley going full heel, and this is something fans have clamored for a while. Overall, I thought this show was a total letdown, especially going from week 1 to week 2, which now sets us up for week 3. And a couple matches that have been announced. We're going to get Roman Reigns versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the IC belt, which I don't know about you. I don't really understand this. I feel like Roman Reigns should be challenging for a heavyweight championship here, not necessarily the belt that is kind of the placeholder before you get to that level. So this seems a little bit confusing to me. Also, we're going to have a 6-pack challenge where the winner will face Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. We're going to have Carmella, Nikki Cross, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, Sonya Deville, and Mandy Rose. Out of these 2 matches that have been announced, which one kind of piques your interest more than the other? And which one do you see making more sense in the long run?
See, for me, I was kind of thinking along the lines of, you know what? I'm not going to tune in at all. I was like, you know what? I'm like, you know what? After watching Dynamite, after watching Power, I was talking to Putnam and I was talking to Mikey, and I was like, you know what? I just don't really think I'm invested in WWE that much anymore in terms of the reviews. I mean, you can catch a lot of the reviews. You can watch a condensed version of it. In terms of the storylines, I just don't understand that you brought in Eric Bischoff, then you fire him. Now you put it back in the hands of Bruce Pritchard. I'm looking at all these storylines and I'm going to myself, I'm sitting here scratching my head and I'm going, do I really care? And I'm like, well, I mean, I like some of the stuff that goes on with AJ Styles. I like some of the stuff that goes on with, Seth Rollins a little bit. I'm interested a little bit in what's going on at Crown Jewel with Tyson Fury. But in terms of a lot of things that don't make any sense, it's so bad that you just go, man, what are these guys doing? It turns you off so bad, and you just say to yourself, okay, how's this company operating? What's going on? Who's getting pushed? Who's not getting pushed? And I said to myself, you know what? I'm not interested. I think I'm taking a couple weeks off from live WWE action because I was so happy with how AEW delivered. I was happy with how NXT delivered. I said, how is this possible that Wednesday night now has turned into a great night of wrestling, but Monday and Friday are almost garbage? They're not worth watching. And I say to myself, okay, if they dropped every storyline and just started anew, would I be more interested? And my answer is yes. I'm not interested in a lot of, look at Raw for a second. You have Lacey Evans and Natty feuding for a while now. All of a sudden, they're paired together for a tag team. And Natty was the face and she's getting booed. It does, like, stuff like that. It doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of how they're putting the show together. And it, the way I'm looking at it is they're putting shows together basically day of, and the continuity's not there. The excitement's not there. In terms of a show, the promos are really awful and they're not delivered well in any manner. So I say to myself, man, is it worth it to sit and watch 5 hours of Raw and SmackDown? Or I can be really entertained and enjoy Wednesday and watch Dynamite and NXT. I think it's better worth your time. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're spot on. The quality of Raw and SmackDown have been trash. It's not been good. Even Raw's or SmackDown's first night on Fox, I wasn't overly impressed with it. I thought it was okay, but I wasn't overly impressed. And then you're right, the storylines don't make sense. The creative is bad. All of it just kind of seems rushed and put together day of, like you said. Watching AEW this week, I was blown away. It was a fun show. It really was a fun show. I didn't fall asleep. I wanted to stay up and I wanted to consume all of it. I have a couple things that I have to take care of around the house, and I don't have a lot of time. And I'm trying to get those done, but I find myself doing them during commercial breaks because I don't want to leave the television, because I want to see what's going to happen. Now with Raw and SmackDown, a lot of times I turn it on and it's just background noise. I will watch, but I find myself passively watching because a lot of times I just get bored. I have to go do other things. It's absolutely brutal. Like watching Raw was painful.
Oh,
Now, I watched the Monday Night Football game, but I went back and I watched Monday Night Raw, and I was like, why am I wasting my time here?
yeah.
Honestly, the best thing I took out of it was Buddy Murphy. I think Buddy Murphy might be the
Yes.
best kept secret on Monday Night Raw. And after that, it was all trash. Even the whole Seth Rollins Bray Wyatt bit, it leaves me baffled and confused. The Fire Funhouse or the Firefly Funhouse is like the best thing you've got going.
And you burn it down.
Why would you burn it down? Like, what are you doing? It doesn't make any sense. It's just all short-sighted because they're trying to pop a number for ratings. And in the long term, it doesn't make any sense. And as a viewer, you're left scratching your head, and it's kind of frustrating, especially if you go back. So me and you are of the age where we remember Stone Cold feuding with the McMahons. Those storylines lasted 2 and 3 years. You know what I'm saying? These were long, drawn-out storylines where you got different angles that kind of got intertwined and interwoven with them, and it was great storytelling. You knew what the deal was. You knew what the start was. You knew what the finish was, and you knew how it all made sense and it all tied together. It never really left you being like, "Damn, this is all pretty stupid and none of it makes sense. Why did I just waste my time watching this for 3 hours? I could have done anything else." So I'm right there with you, man. I think Raw and SmackDown this week were trash.
Yeah,
I don't think they were very good.
You know, let's just take a look at the former champion. You had Kofi Kingston, who was a main event guy. All of a sudden now he's back with the New Day throwing pancakes. I think you could have done a lot more with him. I mean, just because he lost the title doesn't mean that he doesn't get to come back and have an opportunity to be a top guy, but now he's back with the New Day. And you just feel like that was a letdown. You just feel like everything is rushed and nothing makes real sense. And then exactly, you know, you have Seth Rollins and The Fiend, and if you want to continue that storyline, why would you then put The Fiend on SmackDown? It doesn't make sense. You know, have them on the same show. Let them, you know, finish it out or at least give us the payoff. I think that's the biggest thing that WWE is failing to do is at certain points, yes, this year's WrestleMania paid off a lot. But after that, you just don't get a sense that they pay off a lot. And I think just after the whole Hell in a Cell fiasco, it really hurt business. It hurt morale. And then you look at it and you go, okay, they have a show called NXT that actually features some pretty good wrestling in a spot where the crowd's into it. It makes sense. The wrestling is a little bit better. There's some interesting characters. And you realize, man, WWE main roster has a lot of work to do to kind of make the shows a little bit more enjoyable. So, you know, for me, I hear that there's a shorter version on Hulu for SmackDown and Raw. So I definitely am doing that a little bit, and then you could fast forward, you know, through some of the shows. But yeah, a lot of the matches don't make sense. They're not that quality. I mean, for Raw, I did enjoy the Viking Raiders becoming the new tag team champions. I think that's the right call. They're one of the elite tag teams. But, you know, would you be surprised if they don't fight for like another 2 weeks? The tag team,
not at all.
It's like basically what they've done is they say, okay, we got champions, and then we're going to have like way too much, you know, polarity where the bottom guys are like the B team, and then you got like top guys like the Viking Raiders and the New Day. But, you know, in between, the Usos didn't get drafted. You know, they're not even using talented individuals. And you go, the Usos and Naomi are no longer being utilized? What the heck? It's like you have, you know, rosters full of talented individuals, but because of, you know, this fight for ratings, you're not seeing a bunch of talent. And you go, okay, you got top tag teams, but then the middle is, you know, really not worth watching. It's like, okay, you got Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler, but anybody else you interested in? Not really.
Not really. And if you stick around, I will explain what's going on with the Usos and Naomi later on in the show. I do want to discuss the draft results, though. I want to discuss who has the better roster for essentially each division and then best overall. So we've got the men's division. Out of Raw and SmackDown, who do you think has the better roster?
When you have Brock and Roman Reigns, I would have to say SmackDown.
Okay, see, I'm going to go with Raw, but it's basically because of the sheer number. Remember, Raw gets a 3-2 advantage when drafting. So I'm going to go with Raw just because of the number. You've got a guy like Seth Rollins. You've got AJ Styles, Buddy Murphy, who helps fill out that mid card is right there. And again, I think he's the best kept secret. I think because of the numbers, Raw is going to get my nod here. But that being said, SmackDown has its own list of guys, and the top end talent on SmackDown is definitely there. All right, what about the women's roster? Who do you think has the better roster, Raw or SmackDown, for the women?
Based on what I saw in the draft results, it's Raw. I mean, it's nice. It's nice to see Bayley maybe develop some new feuds over there on SmackDown, but Raw has, hands down, the best women's division, and they probably should highlight it if they want to keep whatever viewers are left.
Yeah, look, you have Becky Lynch, you have Charlotte Flair, you've got the Kabuki Warriors. I mean, basically, right there, you've got a solid tag team, and then you've got your number 1 and number 2 champs. Pretty much. If you go to SmackDown, I mean, we're talking Sasha Banks in the Bayley show with a little bit of Carmella mixed in. Now, I like Carmella, but she doesn't hold a candle to anybody like Bayley or Charlotte. So definitely Raw has the nod here. Now, what about the tag team division? Does Raw or SmackDown get your nod?
Man, it's kind of tight, right? It's kind of like there's some tag teams on both that I'm down for. So I kind of give it a tie. I don't think there's a clear-cut winner. You?
I think SmackDown, just because, again, sheer number. They've got 6 teams compared to Raw, which right now has 3 or 4 teams. Once everything kind of gets divvied up when all the free agents sign, I think we're going to have a clearer understanding of who's got the better tag team. But I'm going to go with SmackDown right now. But I think in the end, you might be right. It might be a tie.
You know what's funny is that, now the booking is so bad that the Authors of Pain are now being reintroduced again with more vignettes. I'm like, it's like you reintroduced them once, then they had the injury, now you have to reintroduce them again, and then everyone's like, yeah, you're just gonna bury him again anyway.
No, you're right. You're probably right here. When you really get down to brass tacks, WWE and their creative has not done a good job at all. And you just can't really cut it any other way, especially when we're going to transition over and discuss AEW here in a moment. Overall, who's got the best roster?
Oh, for me, it's SmackDown. I'm definitely interested in seeing how Brock Lesnar's going to, rule the roost over there. Roman Reigns. I think obviously.
Is he going to show up?
Yeah, I think so. I do.
You hope so?
Yeah, I hope so. I think that SmackDown will have at least once they figure out, okay, once Bruce Pritchard gets into the role and he figures out who's going to be put over, and I do think they're going to establish at least, going forward into Survivor Series and into the Rumble, at least some storylines that could change and be more interesting. So I have high hopes for Bruce Pritchard. So I think SmackDown, being that, it's the Friday show on the main network, I think they have the best roster.
I think Raw has the best roster. But I think top end talent, I think SmackDown kind of edges them just a little bit. But again, I think SmackDown's got a little bit more flexibility and can do a few more things. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out in the end. I think we both can agree that AEW, by and large, right now, is a much better show. I think it's much more fun to watch. And I think you don't mind spending 2 hours in front of your television.
Yeah, did you know that Raw traded Alexa Bliss?
Yeah,
how stupid for picks.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, the whole thing was
the way Raw or the way WWE does it. It's very, very poor.
It's very poor, and here's the thing: it was done so bad that Raw's ratings dipped. I mean, it's down from last year's draft, and last year's draft was kind of cockeyed too. So how bad is that? Is that your show from Friday, which should kind of carry over and bring you some heat, some attention, some like, oh, what's going to happen, made your next show diminish in ratings? That's just an epic fail on so many levels.
Nope, you're absolutely right, man. I agree with you. I was really frustrated by the product that we got from WWE this past week. Wasn't really happy about it at all. Let's talk AEW now. So I was kind of blown away and taken aback, and I ended up getting goosebumps when it was playing. But the video package with Cody Rhodes,
sweet.
It was excellent. Like the vignettes and the packages that AEW puts out are so captivating, and they just pull you into the story. and they totally get you caught up to speed. So like if you weren't watching for the last, I don't know, 6 months, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, what's this AEW thing that we're talking about? And you plop down in front of your TV, they're going to show you this video package, and it's going to make you understand what is going on. And I think they do an excellent job. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
I just enjoy it. I mean, okay, 8 o'clock, wrestling's going to start. For me, 10 when I actually, get home and settle in. And I love the replay.
Yeah, you love the replay for sure.
I absolutely love it because I can get home. I can do what I got to do, tuck the kids in, talk to the wife a little bit, check the internet for some sports stuff. And then 10 o'clock hits, boom, I can start. And then I can get a little bit of a brief recap from what people were saying. And it starts off with a great tag team match. And I'm like, all right, I'm into it. Action. Mm-hmm. Let's go. Some action, some interest and things like that. So I thought it was awesome. And I was just really into it. And like I said, the crowd always makes a show that much more enjoyable. So I really enjoyed the opening match. I kind of was a little bit surprised. I really thought Best Friends was going to go over, but, probably the more established tag team, SCU, went over. And the opening match was great to me.
Yeah, I thought the opening match was outstanding. I think what you're going to end up seeing for the tag team division belts, because this is a tournament to crown the new AEW tag champions, I think what you're going to end up getting in the end, and they're kind of setting this up right now, is you're going to get SoCal Uncensored versus the Lucha Bros. And I want to stick with the Lucha Bros real quick because the Lucha Bros took on Jurassic Express. Now, I thought this was a really fun match. I thought the Lucha Bros looked absolutely vicious. And I think this is something that AEW is trying to establish with this tag team. They want to make them out to be the baddest of the bad, want to make them out to look like they will absolutely cripple you. And I think this match, for the most part, did that.
Yeah, the Lucha Brothers are just a pure asset that AEW definitely should take advantage of. I can't wait to see more of their matches. I mean, the series of matches with the Young Bucks has been awesome. Then potentially speaking, maybe down the road they might take on Santana and Ortiz.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, future matches maybe with the Young Bucks again, if they want to revisit, with the younger tag teams. Everything that's out there in front of the Lucha Brothers, you potentially want to see. So, yeah, you said it. They were vicious, and you're like, whoa, they're a little bit a cut above. But give credit to the Jurassic Express.
Yeah.
They held their own. They look like they belong, and I think that's one thing that's different is that, yes, there may be some, lesser known talent, but they can potentially, by working with the likes of a Lucha Brothers, by getting in the ring with, established vets, you get the rub, you get over a little bit more. I thought Jurassic Express looked really good.
I agree with you 100%. I wasn't 100% sure what we were going to get out of them, and I thought they looked really, really good. Now, that could have been Lucha Bros making them look good. That could be their own talent. It's really one of those things where I want to see more because I really liked what I seen. On top of it, I thought it was a really fun match. I mean, as brutal as it was and as violent as it was, I really thought it was a fun match, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I thought it was great. There were times where I was laughing. There were times where I was like, oh, my God, that had to hurt. And there were other times where I was like, oh, man, that's great. That was awesome, So overall, I thought it was a fantastic match. Another fantastic match. Jon Moxley and Pac team up against Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. Now, you want headline names. You've got headline names in here. Jon Moxley, of course, from WWE as Dean Ambrose. Pac, Neville, apparently from WWE. Kenny Omega, what else do I need to say? And Hangman Page, who is the future, I believe, of AEW. This was a great match. I like the fact that Kenny Omega went for the broomstick with the barbed wire, and Jon Moxley got the baseball bat with the barbed wire. And these guys were about to throw down. And then Pac comes in at the very, very end, grabs Moxley, and is like, use your head. Do not get us disqualified, and takes the weapon away from Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley then hits him with the dirty deeds and basically just, I'm out, leaves his tag partner dead in the ring for Kenny Omega to hit the V trigger and for Hangman Page to complete it with his finishing move for the 1, 2, 3. I thought this was great. On top of it, you're building a story within a story. So the original story was Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley. Pac got inserted back at their last pay-per-view to take on Kenny Omega. So they've got beef. So now you've got two guys with beef with one guy. On top of that, Pac's got beef with Hangman Page. So you've got stories within stories here, and now this is beginning to evolve. And now you've got Jon Moxley having beef with Pac. This is just awesome storytelling. There is so much going on between these four men that it's absolutely incredible.
And within that, the wrestling is great. You're invested. Everyone's really excited. You know, the crowd's chanting happy birthday to Kenny Omega. His entrance was awesome. And you just recognize, wow, these four guys, you put them in a match. And I know some people commented that there was a lot of tag team, wrestling, and that was kind of the theme of the night in Philadelphia. But it goes to show you that the reason why I think a lot of people really enjoyed the night of wrestling with a lot of tag teams is the WWE drops the ball in terms of quality tag team wrestling. So even though Moxley, Pac, Omega, and Hangman are singles wrestlers, they can wrestle in a tag team format, and it allows these guys with that schedule to continue to, save their bodies a little bit, because tag team wrestling, no matter what, no matter how brutal it is, you still are not in the ring all the time. So it does allow, if you put these guys in tag team matches, you kind of can extend them out until a pay-per-view to prevent an injury, going forward. But, for me, I love the match. I was into it. I was into the crowd, and I thought the right team went over. It was cool to see Kenny Omega and Hangman win.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Another really fun, good match was Chris Jericho. He ended up beating Darby Allin to retain his AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Now, this was a Philadelphia street fight, and the one thing I took out of it is I think Darby Allin has real star potential. He seems to be really over with the crowd. His moveset is different. He's a guy who doesn't mind a little bit of pain, or at least that's how they sell him. And I think overall his matches are usually really, really good, and they're very entertaining. I think he has massive, massive star potential.
What I like is you can tell that Chris Jericho and the crew there has learned from some bad mistakes that WCW made towards the tail end before they folded. If you remember, if you're a wrestling historian, or you're a young cat listening to this and you don't remember what happened, kind of towards the end of WCW, the NWO grew to like 5,000 members, and it was basically way too many top-end stars, and guys like Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, they were just so frustrated because no matter what they tried to do, they would never get into the mix. It was always Hogan, Nash, Flair, NWO, Bischoff, more NWO. Who's the next NWO member? And it was always top-end guys. WCW would still be around. They had the best, youngest wrestlers in the history of professional wrestling. When you think about it, they had Chris Benoit, the Crippler, Chris Jericho, a legend on the mic. And those guys left because there was never an opportunity to be featured. So what does Chris Jericho do? Early on, in the first 5 episodes, puts a guy like Darby Allin in a title match with him. And what happens? Even though Darby loses, we're now all talking about, whoa, this guy can wrestle. This guy can be featured. And that's what AEW should be doing, which is, hey, top-end guys, Cody, Chris Jericho, Young Bucks, of course, they're going to get their time. But when you sprinkle in a Sammy Guevara, a Darby Allin, then you create the stars of the future. And I just thought it was awesome. I was like, okay, they're going to intertwine. It's nice to see. Okay, there's a faction, okay? It's called the Inner Circle. It's got a kid who's like less than 26 years old in it. Sammy Guevara looks like he belongs in the Inner Circle, and he's the youngest one of the bunch. And it's nice to see, hey, take some of these young cats, put them in there. When's the last time you saw WWE put a young cat in the main event and then featured him for more than just maybe 2 weeks? It's like, okay, you get your 2 weeks of fame, you get a couple wins, and then we're going to bury you back to the mid-card.
Yeah, look, I think you're spot on, because Chris Jericho was there when things were going pretty well. He kind of watched the meteoric rise of WCW, and then he's seen how it was crumbling from the inside. And I think he brings that experience. On top of that, you've got a guy like Cody Rhodes who is there to help establish something. And he doesn't necessarily believe in just putting himself over. And I like the way that they're doing what they're doing as far as keeping track of your match record. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah,
if you have a good match record, you deserve a shot.
Yeah, and all you
shouldn't be buried.
All you got to say is with AEW, you're like, damn, the show's over. I want more.
Yeah.
With WWE, you're like, can this show, goddamn it, please just be over?
Yep, absolutely. So I think we both enjoyed AEW immensely this week. I think for the verdict, I think we both are in agreement that AEW gets the nod again for a third week in a row.
Yeah, everyone that's watching is observing AEW has the best show, the best talent, the best buzz, and the show flows and kind of makes sense. The only thing, though, that maybe people are critiquing is that some of the rules are not being really kind of utilized with the referees properly. Like, you have the commentators kind of discussing that, well, the referee's given liberties here and things like that. So they're playing a little bit hard and fast with the rules. It's a little bit more on the edgy, extreme side. But, it's a minor critique in that, okay, you have an official, he's seeing all the rules being broken, but they're never really kind of implemented or talked about. So it's kind of a small thing that people complain about. But bottom line, AEW can do what it wants right now. Going forward, I'm excited for the next pay-per-view, and I'm excited for the next week's show. Dynamite is what it said it was going to be. It's a must-watch show. It's the best.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I'm really enjoying it right now. And I think you're right. When Raw or SmackDown is going on, you're like, man, how much longer? I've got other things I could be doing. When AEW is going on, you're like, holy cow, I hope this doesn't end. It's totally different. It's a totally different show. It's great.
All right, hit me with this week's professional wrestling news and notes. What you got?
So early on Tuesday afternoon, the news broke that Eric Bischoff was fired from WWE again. Bruce Pritchard has taken his place as the head of creative for SmackDown. It was noted by Brian Alvarez of Wrestling Observer Live that some people in the company saw Bischoff's release coming. Morale had been down for a while, but it was reportedly took a bigger hit on October 1st when the changes were being made. Now, new reports have come out, and it seems as though the massive ratings drop from week 1 to week 2 really played a key part in Vince firing him. SmackDown lost almost 1 million viewers in that 1 week period. And essentially, Eric Bischoff getting fired was kind of the figurehead for it. Now, Eric Bischoff hasn't really been in charge of creative. He was just kind of observing and overseeing it. Didn't really do too much. Now they're going to put Bruce Pritchard in. He's going to take a more hands-on approach. I think with Pritchard involved, it will be better, but we'll see. Mike Kanellis has asked for his release from WWE, and in a non-surprising move, WWE will not accept that. WWE is reportedly attempting to launch an NXT Japan brand similar to its NXT UK brand. So world domination for WWE. Also, after they weren't included in the WWE draft, there are reportedly no immediate plans to place the Usos and Naomi on a return to WWE program. According to Dave Meltzer, there is no creative for them, nor a return date, nor a decision regarding which brand they will be with. None of them have appeared on WWE TV since shortly after Jimmy Uso was arrested for that DUI back in July. That also marked Jimmy's second arrest in 5 months for a DUI. AEW's Luchasaurus, he seems to be dealing with a hamstring injury and had been pulled from Wednesday night's tag team tournament match when Jurassic Express lost to Lucha Bros. You'll remember Marco Stern, I believe his name is, was inserted for him with Jungle Boy. So that's what we got going on with our news and notes this week.
Yeah, if you're, Mike Kanellis and you don't get drafted, I could see why you take offense. But when you sign and ink your name to 5 years with the money that they've given you, what on earth thinks they're just going to let you potentially just walk out? Now, if he wants to be serious, technically speaking, if you put some money down and you challenge it, quote unquote, they view you as an independent contractor. Now, the contract can be fought because if you're an independent contractor, then they can't really lock you down and prevent you from working. So if he wants to fight it, it's going to probably take a year, maybe a year and a half. But there is an opportunity to potentially get out of the contract, but it's going to be a legal nightmare, and it's going to cost you a boatload of money because for every 2 lawyers you got, the WWE's got 12, and it's locked down. So before you take this action and declare for your release, you should have really thought about it and really said to yourself, if I'm going to sign for 5 years, I'm just going to take the money and do what I got to do. Yeah, look, if you work once a week and they're giving you money and there's some guarantees and stuff like that, dude, take it. Dude, you're a wrestler. I know you want to practice your craft and you're young and you want to be in the ring and featured and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you're a big boy. You made that choice. They didn't sign you for a year. They signed you for 5 years. So I think it's on him for being a little silly and naive for signing it. And then, at this point in time, you got to know there's a war going on where they know that if you're out, you're going right next door. You're not just asking to be, you're either going to go to Ring of Honor, Impact. There's like 3 other places now, and WWE's not about to give other promotions competition. So sorry, Mike Kanellis, but you're jammed up. You're stuck.
Yeah, it's I don't know why he would have signed that contract. I think we were both surprised when we had that news and we reported that. Still kind of mind blown. And if you look at what they've done with his character, it's basically they make fun of him. Yeah, they make fun of him and they just run him into the ground. So
take the money and run. It's what I would do. Take the money and run, or take the money and sit. Shit, what's all you can do? Or jump in there with Bruce Pritchard and tell him, look, I will get over. Try your best. Just keep fighting every single day. That's all you can do. Mm-hmm. Oh man, great podcast, sir, man. It flew by.
Yeah, it did. This was a quick one.
Good. I enjoyed it. I think it's good that AEW has established itself. It gives us something to discuss and look forward to on Wednesdays. And look, at the end of the day, WWE's got to earn our commitment back. They might. I am not gone forever. I am willing to come back with a couple of good shows and good reviews. We shall see. Want to show love to a couple of the sponsors. Oh, man, during all these great shows, Adam, myself, Mike, Greg, we're all watching professional wrestling, and we're chatting via the Flick Chat application. It's Detroit Sports' newest headquarters. What is Flick Chat, you ask? Well, it's a great group chat application where we can talk about Detroit sports, we can watch all the wrestling shows, and we can text and have a fun debate via a forum on the internet. It's great. It's an easy application to find and download. All you got to do is go to your favorite app store, whether it be via iTunes or via the Google Play Store. Download Flick Chat, and within moments, you're in Detroit Sports' newest headquarters. You can debate. You can tell us what shows you like. You can tell us, hey, don't watch this show. Give us recaps of some stuff you're seeing on the internet. It's great. It's a group chat application. It's really fun and easy to be a part of. And if you're not able to watch some of the wrestling shows, we definitely keep you in the loop. And it's a growing group, and I'm happy to be a part of it. So don't miss out. Join the Flick Chat application today. And then finally, I want to show love to a great friend of the podcast, Dennis Farrell. He is hosting weekly the Wrestling Perspective podcast himself and Eli Drake. Every single week, breaking it down, get some insight in regards to NWA Power. Eli's there cutting promos, and he's hosting a podcast with Dennis Farrell. Follow Dennis on Twitter at Dennis77Farrell. Find the show on our network as we also host the Wrestling Perspective podcast. Thanks, Gus. See you next week.
Absolutely, brother. Be good.